Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Part of the audio excursion that I enjoy the most is when I get out and travel and am able to visit other record stores. That combined with meeting new people who are into vinyl and audio makes this very worthwhile. And when you get that combination of the two, it's even better. And that's what's happened with myself and a gentleman named Armando Cardoso, who has opened a store in Waco, Texas, about 2 hours south of Dallas, called Vintage Mio Records. Now, the backstory is that Armando started years ago online through a Facebook group, and that's how I met him, and eventually moved from Oregon down here to the Waco area. And he has really grown in this store. I hadn't been there in several months, and it really had a lot more inventory than the last time I was there. Whole sections with CDs now as well. Definitely getting in more collections, and you can see that collection piece growing into the fabric of the records that are available to be sold. I helped him grade and price about 400 to 500 records while I was there and get those into the bins that are there. And just watching some of the people that had come in who literally were asking for some of the very records that we had just put out there. It's an amazing thing to see. Now, in my year start video, I talked about customer service and how critical that was to businesses. And I think without a doubt, that is one of the most positive things that Armando has going with his store. The engagement with his customers, with returning customers, with people who say that they came as a referral. You hear it all the time. And the amount of people coming in on the Friday and Saturday, I was here just after the first of the year, constant traffic pretty much. And a lot of times there'd be 20 people in this store at one time. So really a lot of positive energy and a lot of good feeling about it. And of course, Armando gives back to the community as well, which is just making it even better. But the one thing that I found, and I really wasn't shopping much, but I ran across this because he brought it to my attention, was this Please Please Me copy. And this was a mono one, but it's on Capitol. It's on the Rainbow Capitol label. And this one has a sordid history to it in a way. First of all, I saw that it was U.S. Army Library from Newbrook, New York. And that means it was lent out to servicemen. But you'd never know it by the condition of the record. It's in stellar condition. Now, these came out in 1987, and they were released on vinyl from the British versions of the records, just like the CDs were, and these are in mono. But what was most interesting to me is when I looked in the dead wax, it showed that it was mastered by Wally Tragot, and I did not know that he had mastered any of the Beatles stuff here in the U.S. when it came out after the reissue started. So I'm very excited to listen to this and compare it to my German OG, my UK OG, my 2014 mono box set. So this one I'm definitely going to be doing a shootout on in January, and looking forward to that. So I spent a few minutes, he and I, chatting back and forth and catching up a bit, and I thought I'd share that with you now. Welcome back, everybody, to the Safe and Sound Texas audio excursion. This is David Bianco, and I have with me Armando Cardoso.
Hello.
Owner and proprietor of Vintage Mio Records here in Waco, Texas. Now, you and I go way back. I mean, I was buying records when you lived in Oregon and selling them on a Facebook group called Second Chance Records, which still exists. And in those days, we communicated obviously via social media or on the phone, but now here he is, live and in color. And you moved here back in 2023?
Yeah, early of 2023, David.
My goodness. And when you did, you came here with the express purpose of starting a record store.
Well, I didn't want a physical record store, but I knew that I had like 20,000 records and that the restrictions from COVID would be undone and people would be getting out and needing to, go out and about and do some shopping. So I had 20,000 records to move.
Yeah.
And I opened a little shop here in Waco.
Yeah, the interesting thing about you, though, is you're not what I would call a real record collector per se.
I don't even collect records.
Yeah, you have a few special ones, a couple maybe that I've even given you that are very, but he's not a record collector. He's a person who has collected records for this very purpose of providing them to other people. But the unique thing about Armando, and he did this before he had his store, is that he gives some of his profits to nonprofits, to various organizations. So when we're making a purchase and an investment in a record through him, we're actually helping others as well. And that is, to me, a huge, big difference. And I think your statement was small business,
Big heart.
big heart. And that always has stuck with me so much. It's on the back of this shirt, as a matter of fact.
David, you sport this shirt so proudly, and you actually wear that shirt more than I do. As I'm wearing a Johnny Cash shirt.
Worn it across the world, literally across the world.
That's cool. Thanks for representing.
I've got his Vintage Mio sticker on my suitcase now as well. So that when it's
yes.
So anyway, what you're doing here as a customer, and what I've done as a customer, is to help this business, but also others as well. And so I know you were in another space when you first came in here, and now this space is real homey to me. It's real cozy. The other one was nice, but it was very big, had a high ceiling. 3,000
square feet we were subleasing.
And they were just kind of in I say a corner, but a section of it. And this is all his, everything in here. And it has grown quite a bit in terms of content of the product that's in here, and some other things to make it look nice and look like a record store. And so, one thing I wanted to talk about is, you've not just sold records here, you've also picked a spot that is down 2 doors from a place that is called the Texas Music Cafe.
Yep. Just on the other side of the wall, the Texas Music Cafe has been literally recording history since 1997. So their bread and butter is to try to, their bread and butter is to try to highlight up-and-coming artists. But in the process, they via YouTube. But they've had like Samantha Fish just literally next door or in the community, and they've given her like 2 million views. So that actually helped her with her record business, and they've even done like videos for her. But they try to help up-and-coming artists with new material.
Right. Yeah, and so that's really where it's at. We want to make sure that the evolution of music continues. And of course, there's some people who come here who are established folks as well for a while.
Yeah, I think we had the other day, Chris Gantry performed next door. And well, if you don't know who Chris Gantry is, he's like a Texas Hall of Famer. His best friends were Chris Christopherson, Johnny Cash, Shel Silverstein, did songs for John Denver. All over the place. Eddie Rabbitt.
Wow.
He was in my store. He actually spent the night in his RV in front of my store. And he was trying to barter some music for a hat that a homeless guy gave me. I said no.
But you said no.
I said no.
You turned him down.
But yeah, that's one person. And I'm pretty sure, can't guarantee this, but I'm almost certain that the guy was it Chris Shipflit or someone from like the Foo Fighters was in here the other day. But we had actors from, like Mel Gibson's Apocalypto. He was in here one day. That was really cool.
Right. And one day you heard some really strange guitar sounds coming.
Oh, man, that was crazy. There was like 20 people in the store, like right here in this corner. And on the other side of the wall, I hear this crazy guy warming up. And it sounded like, ah, la. And I was like, man, if there wasn't 20 people in the store, I think I'd do a wellness check. Because I don't know who this dude is. Next thing I know, it's like, I hear this Star Spangled Banner, do, 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 do. And I was like, man, this is a little bit better than normal. And he starts singing. I was like, man, I don't recognize his voice. And there was a beep and an expletive and a beep and a beep and a beep and more beeps. And I was like, I text the owner next door. I don't know what's going on, but there's 20 people here. And he's like, sorry, Ted Nugent is warming up. So that was really interesting. Of course, Ted being local and all.
Yeah, he hangs out in Waco.
Yeah, he hangs out in Waco.
So there you go. So you never know who's going to pop in, I guess, at the Texas Music Cafe. And, one of the things about the store, too, I know you want to grow, you want to expand, and the wall here looks like maybe you could gain a little space.
I'm hoping if we're able to knock down this wall behind us, we could probably fit 7,000 more records. So currently we have about 120,000 7-inch records that are in storage that we don't have a place to go. And we probably have about double the amount of records that you see here. LPs where they need a top shelf.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There's almost twice as much in here as I was the last time I was here when you've really rearranged things.
There was like one barrel in the middle,
Yeah.
but tons of people showing up, but
Oh, yeah.
not a lot of records.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, you're going gangbusters, and I'm trying to retire myself.
Well,
and I'm
David, let's talk about that, David. It's not all about like me. David, so I've been a follower and a fan of yours since inception, right? In fact,
Yeah.
I saw from 20 followers or so to now close to 5,000 followers on YouTube.
Yeah, almost.
And even though you're young, now you're retired, what are you going to do in 2025? What are your goals?
Well, my goals, to live through the year at this age, of course, that's always your first goal.
Yeah, pretty much.
By the way, before I forget, the truth of the matter is the reason I started the channel was because on Second Chance Records, when you were doing auctions or when I was doing auctions, record sales, there would be people who would ask a lot of questions, and people wanted to know things. And then I'd even have maybe something where I just did some discussion with people without selling anything. And Armando actually was the one that kind of said, maybe you should do this more than just doing it here on these auctions, and that you should consider doing the YouTube. And I was like, nah, I'm not. But then, when I retired, first time, tried to retire, I took a shot at it in March of 22, and I am where I am. So I really have you to thank, and the people that were on Second Chance Records that were asking all the questions. So
You have this this knowledge, and you give it out for free, which I think a lot of people need in this industry to know, so they understand what good presses are out there for certain titles. So you're saving these people money, and
hopefully,
on equipment and title. It's amazing.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
You've been doing this for a while, and you share it openly and honestly.
Yeah, so 2025 for me is now, I'm not officially working for anybody now. I've got a small consulting company that I have done a few projects on with my previous employer and another company, and I'll be doing a few of those off and on during the year. But now it's a matter that I can pick and choose what I want to do, not that I have to do it. So that's what
So are you going to be doing more videos and more traveling?
Yeah, I expect to do. My goal is to travel to the West Coast and the East Coast this year in my vehicle for looking at different record stores, different pressing plants, to make those treks. I mean, even if you need somebody to go with you to get records, find records, whatever, to really, get on the road more. I bought another vehicle to be able to do that. So I am looking forward to do that, as well as more video content. So as I have more free time, I'm certainly going to try to give more of that to myself and to my watchers and those who have been subscribers, and also ask for input. What would you like to see? What's out there maybe that you haven't seen that you'd like to see that's out there? I'm willing to go just about anywhere and see what you want to see, because I would like to be the eyes and ears of the followers of my channel. That's one goal I
just think
have.
that you're good at it, David. And I think that, I know there was a time period where right before you retired that you were consistently not doing videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I would reach out to you, when are you going to come out with the video? Because David, if you guys have known and followed him, he's got this amazing voice, knowledgeable, very well spoken, and the way he does presentations, well, he's a mentor for me as well. I'm hoping that next year you'll be helping, or this year, that you'll be helping me with that as well.
Yeah.
But so I traveled throughout the U.S. for records or for inventory.
Yeah.
And naturally, being a store owner, but also traveling throughout the U.S., I naturally just have some incredible stories. In 2024, 2022, and 2023, we bought record collections from the producer of Velvet Underground, Norman Dolph. Yeah. We're friends with his family over there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Just recently, we traveled to Washington, D.C. and picked up 2,000 soul records from a lady who was on A&E. She was a homicide detective. Her name was Romaine Jenkins. But things like that happen all of the time, being in Billie Holiday's home and things like that. What it would be a dream and kind of an invitation as well is I want you to come with me on some of those trips.
I'd love to.
Would you do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So you could show me how to get the courage to do a YouTube channel. I've been wanting to do that for a while. Not necessarily. I just want people like David. I've been able, don't know how, to experience certain things that a lot of people would like to do in their 40, 50 years of collecting.
Yep.
And it comes to me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I want to share those stories with people.
Yeah, and we were looking at records earlier and pricing them, and that from the LA collection and the DC collection. And these are records that are just unbelievable condition, amazing condition. And you know, what categories would you call them? We had some blues.
It was rhythm and blues and doo-wop, things like that.
So things, you know, from 50s and 60s, early stuff, but really, really clean and amazing collections, well maintained. One of the guys actually was writing notes on the inner liners about certain songs or certain things. So really someone who was quite into collecting. So, you know, these are the great things when you can get these collections and then, you know, kind of bring it forward to another generation to enjoy that music. But I'd love to go on some of those treks with you.
Cool.
Not a problem. I love driving straight through the nights. I love all that stuff.
Well, you know a lot of people too, you know, that you deal with Chad Kassem, things like that.
Yeah,
you got some
maybe
heavy
let's
hitters
go
up
through
there.
Salinas, Kansas.
Oh yeah, let's go.
Go through
Just
Salina.
not during a tornado.
Not during a tornado.
Oh my gosh, David, look at that light. Do you see it's blinking?
It is.
Holy smokes. Well, David, I believe 2025 is going to be even better than 2024. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think that people have just got to, you know, I think people are more discerning about what they buy, which is a good thing. I think the other thing is that some of the prices that have gone up, I noticed you're really trying to hold the line on that stuff here. I was looking at some for comparison earlier. So, you know, your product can be bought online as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can call Armando and he'll arrange to get what you need whenever you need it. If you need it shipped, whatever, he'll do it. Small businesses are what brings this country together and what keeps things going. So I think when we can avoid the big boxes for these kind of things and we have a local retailer, someone who we can count on, I think that's where we should put our money and put our effort. And in this case, with it being partially going, of course, to nonprofits, that just adds a cherry on top of the deal. So thanks for all you do. Looking forward to a great 2025.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
So I hope if you're ever in the area of Waco, Texas, you drop by and say hello to Armando at his location on South 6th Street. He's just a few blocks from the Chip and Joanna Gaines marketplace, the silos as they're called. So you could make a day of it. That place is always bustling with activity as well. And there's a lot of cool things in Waco, actually. It's a very interesting little town that's getting a certain upbeat vibe to it and certain retro look. It's got probably more coffee houses per square mile than any place I've seen recently. So it's really getting with it. And this shop certainly is in tune with that. So as always, thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so by clicking on the subscribe option and the bell below and the all option. And a thumbs up or like is really helpful to the algorithm, as are comments to the fact that I love responding to those and giving you feedback as well. So until we catch you next time, thanks for joining me on the Safe and Sound Texas audio excursion. Take care, everybody.